What is going on, guys? And the video has finally come. Let's talk about RASP. Alright, so this is one of the most highly requested videos I've gotten basically of all time. What the heck is RASP? When you get an option 40 contract, you're gonna go to this thing called RASP. What is it? What do you do there? I've got my boy York here who's been through RASP a few times, and he's gonna give you guys just a quick little background of kind of his time going through RASP.
I went through RASP last February of 2017 is when I actually showed up for pre-RASP. I went through the course twice. First time I got medically recycled, and then they gave me the opportunity to go through it again, and I unfortunately failed again, and that's how I'm in this unit right now. So what you're gonna start off with is pre-RASP. You're gonna, if the cadre are the same cadre and they still like to, you know, mess around with the guys, what they do is they pick you up at airborne school and they'll take you on some like balls to the wall, like 6-mile run all around that OCS airborne school RASP area down there. Pre-RASP is pretty much just like your entry into the compound, because there's an actual RASP compound. They have it fenced in. They have pretty much 3 separate buildings that you're gonna only associate with one though when you're actually in pre-RASP, and it's pretty cool in pre-RASP because you kind of like get to like kind of familiarize yourself with the tempo. The course is like real high tempo, and pre-RASP kind of initializes you with
It's
that.
kind of like just like a ramping up period. How long does pre-RASP normally last for people? Because I know it can vary, but what do you think?
It'll vary greatly. So personally, I was only in pre-RASP my first time for 2 weeks. I was there for 2 weeks before I got the opportunity to class up. But I've heard horror stories from people who've been there for like 3 months in pre-RASP.
Oh,
and 3 months in pre-RASP is nothing that anyone, I would wish on anyone.
Now at pre-RASP, you saying it's kind of like a ramping up period, or what kind of thing are you going through like on your day-to-day? Like you getting smoked all day, you cleaning, or are you learning things? Like what is?
So for pre-RASP, at least when I went, and the course has changed a lot from the people I've talked to coming out now, but when I went through RASP, how they had it was in the morning, you'd wake up and you do whatever PT, and don't let anyone lie to you and tell you PT at pre-RASP is a joke, because it's not. It's hard just the same. Like those guys, they have no off switch. Those cadre are not gonna take it easy on you. You'll start off with PT, then you'll get back from PT, and they'll stretch you out, and they have like really good like professional stretching. They don't like waste time with anything that they do at that course. So you'll do like really good productive stretching, then they'll give you some ridiculous hit time. They'll give you like 20 minutes for everyone to get upstairs, get showered, get changed, you know, get your stuff on. So you're gonna have to deal with a lot of stinky people, because a lot of people just nix that shower and don't do that. But then you come back down and you'll march to the DFAC. The DFAC, they do the same thing that they're always gonna do for you. They're gonna slap you on food, and you have like 3 minutes to eat your plate. Anything that gets left over, they like keep track of it. Then they sit you on the rocks, and that's once you come back from the DFAC, they'll sit you on the rocks. You're always gonna be carrying around a rucksack, and it's to like a 60-pound standard when I was there. I don't know if they've changed that yet. But you're gonna just sit there, pretty much read your ranger material, your airborne ranger in the sky, your ranger handbook, your blue book, whatever you have on you, whatever materials, and then they'll quiz you on that stuff, and anything that you have wrong, you're gonna get smoked for it. And those smokings are also no joke. Like they take those things seriously.
Really?
Yeah, you get worked.
Okay, so that's basically pre-RASP in general. So once you kind of finish that up, first of all, when do you actually know that you're done with pre-RASP? And then once you actually make that transition to RASP, like what is that kind of process like? And then we can begin to talk about really kind of like the RASP day-to-day.
You're gonna probably know about a month out when the next class up is happening. So about a month out, you're gonna know, like, cause it's like clockwork. Like they have, in RASP, you have 4 weeks, and then they phase up, and then that's when they take on the new class to go into phase 1 of RASP. So you're gonna know about a month out. How you're gonna know if you're gonna make it is usually, at least for me, whenever they had us go through, they would give us a PT test, and then they kind of did like an OML, which is like an order of merit list based on how you performed on that PT test. So the people who performed higher on the PT test got in faster, and then the people who
Okay.
performed lower, they stayed in pre-RASP for a longer amount of time.
That's interesting. That's good to know. So make sure you're good on your PT so you don't have to stay there even longer. So you get to RASP. First day, is it kind of, do they have like a shark attack kind of thing like they do at basic, like your first day of RASP?
Oh yeah.
They do?
Oh
Okay.
yeah. So the first day of RASP, again, this is just from my personal experience. They like to change that course up a lot, so you know, no one gets comfortable. But that being said, I think it's almost science for them to have everyone do bag dumps, and those bag dumps are no joke. Those bag dumps suck.
What are bag dumps for the people that don't know?
You're gonna take down your rucksack, your A bag, and your B bag, and they're all gonna be chocked full because you're gonna so far have your basic initial issue, whatever you get issue or buy in AIT, and then whatever you buy or get issued during airborne school. You're gonna have a bunch of stuff, and you're gonna dump it all out all over the rocks, and they're gonna like pretty much make sure you don't have any like substances or any like knives or guns or any like paraphernalia or anything like that within your packing list. Gonna pretty much make sure you have your packing list, but this is all just an excuse so they can make your life hell for that first day, and that day sucks because you're gonna be squatting with the bag over your head. They're gonna be making you run laps. It's gonna be hot because it's Georgia, and they're gonna be having you hold squat. We held squat for like 2.5 hours once, and that
So
was,
it's like a actual giant smoke session, not necessarily like the shark attack.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like an actual smoke session all day long.
And that's gonna be like your first taste of the RASP cadre, and those guys are, again, no joke, real serious type people. Like know what they're doing, know who they want in the class and who they want to like kind of weed out.
Okay, so RASP, if you guys didn't know, it stands for the Ranger Assessment and Selection Program,
Yep.
right? So they're assessing you throughout this whole process. How are they assessing you? Like, you're doing all this stuff, you know, what are you kind of doing that they are assessing? Just like your willpower to actually make it through things, or are you actually kind of doing platoon tactics and FTXs, or what?
So there's actual graded criteria that you need to pass to make it through RASP. But that being said, and granted, I'm not a cadre or RASP, but like I talk to a lot of people and have associated myself with like people who've made it through the course. I have friends that are in back right now. I have friends who failed and are here right now. So I don't think it's necessarily, there's no actual non-select that I've ever heard of. Everyone who fails for a reason. But that being said, I think the cadre are willing to be more lenient on certain things. Like, for example, land nav. There's no number to pass land nav. There's no magic number. Everyone says like 12 safe though. If you get 12 points out of 20 on land nav, you're probably good. That
12
being
out
said,
of 20 in one session, or is it you do multiple rounds, like you gotta get 3 out of 5 those 4 times or something?
Yeah, you're gonna have 4 during Coal Range. Coal Range is terrible. I'll talk about that here in a second though. But yeah, I think that the cadre are more willing to like capitulate and kind of, you know, lax the standards a little bit for a guy who's shown promise in other areas. Whereas if this guy's like a serial shitbag, they're not gonna, you know, let him off easy. So
gotcha. So they're actually assessing the soldiers during this process.
For
So
sure.
That makes sense. For sure.
And it's not gonna seem like they are, because you're gonna be kind of like, during certain portions, I was able to kind of like do my own thing, and like it doesn't seem like they always have eyes on you, but there's a pretty good chance.
Is there like an end of the day, like at basic? Because guys, I mean, I never went to RAS, so I'm kind of learning a lot of this stuff on my own right now. So like at the end of the day, when you're done with the duty day, whatever you're doing, do you kind of just go back to the barracks and chill for a little bit, or?
Yeah, usually. So how it worked, at least when I was there, was dinner chow was like, once you got back from dinner chow, they'd march you back. If you didn't screw up earlier in the day, if you didn't piss any of the cadre off, then yeah, it was pretty much like they just, all right, get out of here, go upstairs, make sure the barracks are clean, and then that's when they'd start their own like CQ duties. So whoever was on CQ for that night, whichever cadre member, they'd probably do like a barracks walkthrough, and then they'd hold a formation at like 2000. But that's exclusively if you're on like good behavior, because they have all the time in the world. That is their only job, is to make your life suck.
Okay, so you've been through RAS twice.
Yep.
The first time, how long did you go through?
I went through week 5.
Week
and
5.
I had an infection, so they recycled me.
And then the second time you went through how far?
To week 7, and I did my second PT test, and I failed.
And then we'll talk about that. We're gonna do after this kind of like a tips video, because from what I've talked to you before, I've talked to James about it, you know, with that whole PT test and how it works. Like, you really need to be good on your PT, because they're not gonna count push-ups, they're not gonna count certain things like that. During the run, I'm sure you were tired from other things, right? So you really need to kind of focus on your PT. But RASP is how long?
When I went through, it was 8 weeks. So you had week 1 through 4 was your first phase. That was phase 1. That was like the what everyone kind of thinks of RASP as, like the get fucked up phase. Like that was the everyone, you're getting smoked all the time, you're always in pain, they're always like watching you. And then phase 2, which was week 5 through 8, was like your learning things phase. Like you go through like crazy like shooting aggregates, and they like really teach you like proper rifle marksmanship, all that stuff you learn in basic training. They're like, get rid of that, because we're gonna teach you our way to do it. Mm-hmm. You get to shoot pistols, you get to shoot, you know, it's actually an awesome time. Even if that's all you're gonna get from it, go through it and at least get that amount of information, because you will be a much better shot and a much better soldier just for like experiencing that, honestly.
Okay, so we've basically kind of given you guys a general idea of RASP, but something that I want to do is we're gonna go through real quick, week by week, week 1 through 8, of what you're gonna kind of do each week. So week 1, it's all kind of smoking.
Yeah, so week 1, you're looking at pretty much exclusively, like, this is the first opportunity the cadre have had to like with this new class, so they're really gonna just smoke you, try as much as they can to get like people with tiny heart syndrome out of there. Like, they don't want those kinds of people.
Okay, so it's a weeding out phase. Then week 2?
Week 2, that's when you actually start Coal Range, and Coal Range is like the actual suck fest. And this is all when I went through the course, because I've heard different now that they're changing what week you go through Coal Range. But when I went through week 2 was Coal Range, and that's again just more of like the same kind of like weeding people out. Like, Coal Range sucks. You're gonna be working off like an hour of sleep. They're gonna wake you up in the middle of the night. They're gonna be playing games with you too. Like, for example, what they would do to us is they'd be like, all right, we'd come back from a ruck march. They'd be like, all right, eat an MRE. You only get like 5 minutes to eat an MRE. They make sure that you eat everything too, because they walk by and they inspect. You lay out the contents of your MRE and they check it. If everyone's good on that, then they're gonna be like, all right, go to bed. And I actually looked at my watch one time before going to bed, and they'll make you take your boots off, and they'll make you take stuff out of your ruck, because they like to do this. I looked at my watch one time after I took my boots off, and I pulled all my stuff that they told us to pull out of our rucks, and I looked at my watch, and it was like 2:35, and then we woke up to Artie Sims and like smoke grenades at 2:50. So 15 minutes of sleep. They took us out on another ruck, and we came back, and they did that 2 more times that night. And then we just started, and after our 4th ruck that night is when they actually started us on our land nav phase. So Coal Range is when you're actually going to do your land nav, and it's really important to pass that. There's no right answer to how many points to get. Just try to get as many points as you can, honestly. Like, it's kind of one of those things.
Yeah, do your best.
Yeah, it really is. My first class, I think I got 14 points, and I was a go. And then my second class, I think I got 11 points, and I was still a go. So.
Okay. And week 3?
Week 3. So week 3 is the first like graded phase for recycles. So week 3 is when they're going to grade your swim aptitude test. That's when they're gonna grade your land nav points that you got, and that's when kind of the cadre's assessment of a candidate kind of comes into it. And then that's when they have the opportunity to recycle like any of the potential rangers going into it. That's when your first wave of recycles will go back to pre-RASP.
Okay. Week 4?
Week 4 is when you kind of start to do your like Johnny cool guy shit. That's when you're gonna like go through like your fast roping course, which is dope. It's like kind of scary at first, or it's not scary, it just feels unnatural, because you're not harnessed up or anything. There's no safety measures, it's just you holding onto a rope. You're like 60 feet up, so it kind of feels unnatural, but it's honestly really easy, because it's all about just locking your legs. Then You're gonna shoot down. Later on in that week, you're gonna have an airborne operation, which is pretty much, I think, just for currency for people rolling over into Ranger Regiment, so they don't have to so you don't go like ×1 or ×2 coming out of airborne school. That being said though, that's pretty cool, and usually they'll cap that with like the Mo Mile, which is where once you hit the DZ, you'll assemble and they'll have like a bunch of logs and water cans and stuff that you have to carry back in like commemoration of like Mogadishu with like Black Hawk Down and stuff. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen that. Also, what you might do during that is an RPAT, and I don't know if any of you guys know what an RPAT is, but it's a Ranger Physical Assessment Test, and it's different from your standard PT test. It's more of like a combat-based PT test, and it's gonna be like a rope climb, a 2-mile run, or no, sorry, it goes a 1-mile run, a rope climb, a ladder climb, a Skedco drag, like a 100-meter sprint, then like a wall climb, and then another like 1-mile run, and that's got to be completed in I think 40 minutes, and it's actually a smoker like that. Yeah, oh, it's awful because you're doing it all in full kit too, so there's no remorse.
Okay. All right, week 5?
Week 5, this is when you're actually gonna phase up. This is when you're gonna class up into phase 2. This is when you're gonna get like a whole new set of cadre, and these cadre are less focused on weeding people out. Like at this point, for the most part, like all the, like tiny hearts are like out of there. They've already pretty much gotten rid of all the people that they, don't see potential in. So at this point is when you're gonna actually, like the cadre are gonna be really focused on making you into the best you can be. So when you go to your company in like whatever battalion you get assigned to, that's when they're gonna start they want you to be ready to take on that workload. So they're gonna do a lot of shooting. Like week 5 is all shooting, like shooting with your Glock, shooting with your M4. Week 6 is shooting or demo, depending on what, because they split your class up into 2 at that point. So you're gonna have 2 different platoons, and one's gonna go to the demo range for week 6, and the other one's gonna go to more just shooting. This is gonna be more like move and shoots or shoot houses or whatever they have slated. And then week 7, those are gonna flip-flop. And then week 7 is when anyone who didn't pass the PT test at week 6 is gonna do the PT test at week 7. And then week 8, that's when you get debriefed on your soft command and multinational joint tactics or whatever. That's usually what they do for week 8. And then after that, week 9 is just graduation week. So. And
then send on over to your 75th bat?
Well, actually, it depends. It depends on what your MOS is, because certain MOSs won't have certain MOSs, for example, me and Jimmy, we're fisters, and they're really low on fisters, so we're priority. The one guy who I saw who made it through RASP as a fister, he had a 3-day turnover. He was only in transitions for 3 days. But yeah, they'll hold you there, and everyone I talked to who was in the holdover barracks is guys who graduated RASP, already had their tambourines and stuff. They liked it. They got treated nice.
All right, so that is pretty much it for this RASP video. I think York did an amazing job explaining this, giving you guys basically the rundown on what the heck RASP is like. It's really nice having a first-hand account of this because I've never been through it. If I'm gonna talk about it, I'm just gonna be giving you guys second-hand experience. So I'm coming from the source, got somebody who's been through RASP. We're gonna do another video right after this, which it'll, I guess, go up in a couple of days, giving you guys some tips on preparing for RASP, both physically and mentally, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, I guess, overlay on the screen and put in the description York's Instagram account. So if you guys have all the questions under the sun about RASP, feel free to hit him up. He said he would answer some of your guys' questions, so make sure you guys do that. Follow him on Instagram too. But that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. That'd be awesome. If you want to check out some more of my videos and the next RASP video, hit that subscribe button. That would be freaking amazing. Follow me on Instagram and Snapchat too. That would be really nice. But you can follow both of us as well if you don't already. I hope you guys have an amazing freaking day, and I will see you later.